imagine going for a job interview and you're just like honest.
Yeah. I've tried.
Like, I'm going to mess up a few times. Of
Yeah.
course, this is what
Yeah.
happens. But like, I'm really great at like learning from like messing up.
You know,
You know.
from what I've found, because I go to a lot of interviews that aren't necessarily job interviews, but like just interviewing potential clients, which is always kind of like a job interview for both of us, you know. And I think there's a balance of honesty that they want, and especially the good clients want a balance of honesty with a balance of bullshit. You know, there's a part of a part of it they want you to be like, hey, I look at all the hoops I can jump through, but another part of it is like, do you understand the nature of the industry that you're in? You know, so it's something that I find it can be very humanizing, but they don't always want a human, especially not in IT. They want someone who can work like a machine.
No, sure.
You know, because you're working with machines.
But you have to be good. You have to be good at your job. Like I just think about cops sometimes, and it's like, you know, it's like, do you get tested about like, you know, how good you can shoot?
Yeah,
Like,
apparently
always hit the
not.
target.
Apparently not. I don't know what they test them on, but yo, have you seen those videos of the training?
No, I have seen those videos, but like sometimes I think those videos are just like propaganda.
To a
And I
certain
understand that mistakes happen. You know, I would love to see some of the. They can't be only shitty shooters.
Yeah.
You know, they're like, I'm pretty sure like we have some sharp shooters, you know. So I'd like a balance of that, you know, because sometimes I do feel that it's just like a degradation of the nature of affairs,
For
you
sure.
know, because like there's
For
an
sure.
expectation that, of course, we are hiring incompetent people and we're training. I mean, the reason you train people is because they're incompetent,
Yeah.
you see. And so the
Yeah.
point is to get them to a certain level of
Competency,
competence.
of readiness to do the job that's in front of them. And
I need to tell you about my neighbor who had an intruder. 5
Okay.
intruders, but
5?
one came in. Yeah.
it's wild.
I'll actually share some of the footage. Maybe we can edit it in.
Yeah, that'd be
and,
cool.
and check some of the stuff.
Blur some of it out.
Yeah, but that guy was not incompetent at all. Like,
Yeah.
well, at least my neighbor was not incompetent. The other guys who broke in, I'm not so sure about them. But my neighbor, a blind man who works in the security forces, managed to shoot one of the intruders. Yes.
By like a bat.
He shot
the
the
real
boy.
the real life Batman. Batman, but he's a bat. He's blind.
He's using echolocation.
echolocation.
Where are you, criminal? You know, like- and then he shot him, bro.
Yo,
And subsequently, the guy bit him, you know, on
Bit him?
on his hand. Yeah. Apparently, just held onto his hand, and he tried to,
did he?
you know, bash his head to sort of get him to let loose,
That's wild.
and he just held on. You know, I've never seen a bite like that. It looked like it came from a wild animal, and if not a wild animal, a high caliber rifle.
Yeah.
But it was just someone's teeth.
That went through his hand, or like made a big
It
like a
did.
good puncture.
Yeah, it did. So
Dude.
just talking about competent people and incompetent people as well. Yeah. So he managed to shoot one of the intruders as a blind man,
Yeah.
but as a guy in the security forces, you know. So I thought, I think, of course, there is there is a level of competence that exists out there,
For sure. For
you
sure.
know. But like,
you were
I
saying
think,
that we chatted about this a little bit before,
Hmm.
and you were saying that there were clear signs with him like preparing for this heist.
yeah,
you
like
know.
it was definitely high. So our suspicions, because of course we don't have all the facts, because also the detectives have not come back to us with how far the investigation is going. But you know, we don't have all the facts. No one's been caught or whatever. But then when like my neighbors and I did like a perimeter check, which is like the basics of, you know, the security thing as well. You know, like not our private security company did a perimeter check. None of the police did a perimeter check when they came in. So we decided as sort of neighbors and people who have a dog in the fight to like do a perimeter check ourselves, and we found, you know, like a bag of tools. Yeah, you know,
That's insane.
just like I think they just left it in a rush when, you know, because like there was gunshots and just chaos.
Why are the police not involved?
I
Why don't they? Because it feels like it feels very emotionally based. You know, like if it's something they care about, they'll do something about it. But if it's not
Yes.
something they care about, then
that's
they're
an
like,
interesting one.
you know what? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, but the only thing I care about right now is lunch. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that part of these state jobs, which I think are quite great and like they're good for the economy, according to my worldview. You see, I think that the state should be the primary not the primary employer, but like should be a big employer in a country, as the person, as the people um, whose job it is to maintain the economy. I think the state should be involved in the employment of people, and so like the police services, the health services, the education sector. The only problem is that by virtue of it being a state-sanctioned duty, right? I think there is a tendency to attract people, I think, who don't necessarily love what they do, right? But are just there for the salary, it's
which is insane.
to get as much as they possibly can from the posting or the role.
The two roles where you should care about what you do is teachers and cops.
Yes, I think so too.
Like if you like, I've had teachers that don't care.
I think so too.
And it just makes you bad at maths. And if you have cops that don't care, then there's going to be no incentive for criminals to not do crime.
Yeah, I was absolutely shocked by the almost non-investigation that happened with this little scenario that we had.
When did this happen? Was it a few weeks ago?
A couple of about maybe 2 months ago. The first cold front we had. The first cold front we had.
2 months ago.
Yeah, the first cold front we had. And on that night, on that cold night of that cold front, it's like that's when it happened. But even just like think that level of planning, I think these guys thought about this.
For sure.
Like when the rest of us were planning on being in bed the whole night and being warm, they were planning to be warm and not in bed because everyone else would have been in bed. And so like it's an opportunistic crime.
For sure.
And it's like they caught it and they did it, but unfortunately, we caught it as well. My dog absolutely lost his mind on the day. There were 5 shots. I heard none of the shots. I heard none of the first 3 shots or so. Like it was my dog that woke me up. Like I'm so desensitized.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't know if I'm desensitized. No, I'm not, because I didn't hear a lot of gunshots in my life. I just didn't hear the gunshots.
I mean, you also hear cars backfiring. You hear loud noises.
Yeah,
unless
you're
in
right.
South Africa, unless the loud noise is accompanied by a scream.
You're right. That's what happened.
If there's no scream right after the loud noise, then that was just a loud noise.
Yeah, but ours was accompanied by a scream.
Yeah, and then okay, that was a bad loud noise. You've got good loud noises and bad loud noises.
It was so great though, it's like, but this entire, like, after the entire thing happened, I realized that no one in the complex woke up. We're the only people that woke up and opened the door, which only later on I thought was very foolish to some degree, but like at least we could help the lady who was running around because like she thought her dad had been, what do they say online? Unalived.
Unalived.
And so
shot and unalived.
Yeah, and so that we woke up with those screams, and I just need to also add, like, I don't think we ever greeted one another with the neighbor. It was just always odd.
That is a very Joburg neighborly experience, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I've never had neighbors that I knew well or hung out with. I feel like it happens differently in other places when you stay in other places, but I think specifically Joburg suburbia, I don't really know. Like, we don't go and borrow sugar from the neighbors.
Yeah, people talk about that quite a bit.
It's like there's a lack of community, and I think the harder you kind of work, the harder it becomes to maintain any community.
Yes, because ultimately also what you get from community can be gotten from capital, or can be gotten from
a cheap
the
version
money
of it
that you can make.
Yes.
Well, sometimes you can get the most highly priced of whatever it is that you're trying to buy. And so I think the value that community has is being replaced by the ability to purchase whatever service that a human being who's close to you can give you.
I do think it is.
That's probably why the suburbs are like that, because there's disposable income that can pay for things that human beings can assist you for free if you build a relationship with them.
But it's not about like getting things from other people necessarily in terms of like them doing things. It's about having that long-standing connection with the person, like that relationship that lasts for 10 years or 15 years with a stranger. Like in TV shows, you've got Friends, or you've got like, these sitcoms where people are just friends with their neighbors because they don't, like, those are the people in proximity to them. I mean, the people that I see the most often are my family,
Sure.
my coworkers, and other comedians. Like that, because that's just what I do on a daily basis.
That's
you know.
crazy. Like,
And then we get the McDonald's. Sorry,
no, sure.
but then we get the
sure.
McDonald's version of connection over social media. You know, it is flavored to feel like connection, but it's not. It's fake connection. To connect with people over social media, over Facebook, over Instagram or TikTok or wherever social media is, even WhatsApp to a certain extent. Sending messages is not necessarily the real connection that we need.
Yeah, I don't. Now that we're having this conversation, I'm realizing that maybe the promise was connection, but I don't think the purpose of the promise was connection. That these social media networks are going to give us
sure.
Some heightened connection.
Yeah.
But I think it was just a promise, you know. Like, but what we're getting now is something completely different from that.
It's the sale. It's a cigarette company saying it's going to help you manage stress.
Yes, definitely.
You know? That's exactly what's happening.
But they don't tell you about the amount of stress you're going to get.
Yeah, exactly.
When you don't have the thing.
Yeah. And I mean, they sell us connection, but they really are selling us distraction.
Yes.
Right.
And you can't connect when you're distracted.
No, you can't. It's impossible to connect. I mean, have you ever gotten into like Instagram or TikTok and you're just scrolling? You don't, after an hour, you don't remember a single thing that you saw.
Yeah, because learning, I mean, I'm not saying this is a matter of fact. It's not like I'm a pro or an expert, whatever it is. But like, you know, I've realized in my own life that the things that I remember are things that have an impact on me. Right. So like I've remember lessons from like traumatic experiences. And I also sort of remember lessons from, you know, like things that I'm really, really interested in. So I don't have to be like, you know, I don't have to be confronted with the negativity of the thing. But if I'm really interested in the thing, then you know, and so.
Yeah, and I mean that's also why they call it most the algorithm.
Yeah,
is what you're interested in. That is your
But also
palette.
Trigger warnings. You see, and so like they realize that the most engagement comes from triggering people or triggering something in people that would make them want to say something. You know, and so that's what actually is the thing that drives engagement
for sure.
And so, yeah, it's a deep conversation. But I don't know if we have the time for it. I'm so scared. Did you watch that documentary? It was called on Netflix about the clone. It's like how social media is making a clone of you.
Yeah.
What do
I can't
Social
remember what it was
Dilemma.
called.
Social Dilemma.
I haven't watched it.
I think so.
I've heard of it, but I haven't watched it.
I think you should.
I'll check it out for sure. But I think about this stuff so much because I work in the industry to a certain extent, right? Not at that level.
Sure.
But I'm also kind of a consumer and someone that's been in this loop that it gives, right? And I think a lot about it is a clone of you. It really is a clone of your taste, right? It's like food. I saw this video the other day where a guy was talking about hyperpalatability.
Okay, what's hyperpalatability?
It's like McDonald's, right? It's hyperpalatable. It's delicious. It is made to be the tastiest thing.
Sure.
And if you don't believe that McDonald's is tasty, it's not going to really work on you. But you know, or any of these foods that you can't really tell exactly what it is, but it's delicious. You know, that's hyperpalatable food. It is food that is designed to be specifically tasty, not nutritious, not any of these things, right? But that's the thing that's going to get you hooked, is because it's delicious. And these IT companies like Meta and all these guys are figuring out how to do that, right? They are figuring out not in terms of taste, like physical, the sensation of taste, but your concept,
preferences,
your preferences, your taste. They are building up a palette of your taste.
Yes, but I'm realizing at the same time they're influencing it, and so it's actually not your taste solely. You know, it's like how often do you start preferring something just because you saw some content of it? You know, I remember the time when, you know, we all started gaslighting ourselves when you started thinking that your phone is listening to you. Like, and it's happened, you know, like I think to a majority of us, like you talk about something and next thing you see an ad, and now we've sort of accepted it as normal. Like now we're fine with it. It's almost as if like this is our lives and we must be fine with it. But I remember when it started, like it was a creepy little thing, and so like you realize the power also that these sites have in normalizing like our existence, like things that are absolutely creepy
for sure
are
and
now
it's
becoming
just now
normalized.
normal.
It's
I
like,
mean,
oh,
there are people living in VR.
my phone is listening to me.
Yeah, mine is too. Our phones are listening right now, and I hope they like the podcast.
At least there's two things listening.
I hope they. Well, I think it's both Google phones, right? So, aish, man. Hopefully, Google advertisers, please advertise the podcast.
Try us out, guys.
Yeah. Oh, we should be like, oh, I love the Ministry of Diversity podcast. It's the best podcast. Have you heard of the Ministry of Diversity? It's the best podcast. And then the device is going to hear it and give us ads. But maybe other people that are like us will also get the ads.
Then someone's going to censor it and go and watch it and see if they can actually promote it.
Yeah.
That's how it is.
We just got to get everybody, you know what? Hand out flyers with a script. And it's and like the same script. Everybody says
say the same thing.
Yeah, and then we just buy the cheapest ads. And then it's everywhere.
I realized this idea of buying ads is also another trick that the social media played.
For sure.
Because like we're supposed to just be able to connect with everybody for free or whatever it may be, right? And then now your reach is capped.
For sure.
You see, and so your reach is capped. That's crazy, right? Because like, how do you connect when you cap your reach? No, you can pay for it, and then we can allow you a little bit. Okay, like when does this end, guys?
If you've got the money, you can make anything true, right? Like a white genocide. I'm sorry, I'm bringing up a lot of whole topics here, but I mean, if you've got enough money,
the white genocide thing was crazy, and now Trump and Musk are no longer buddies.
Yeah.
After he bought into this, I think this had something to do with their fallout, and hear me out.
I do agree with you.
I think Trump, he might just be a trusting guy, and I don't know what that means, right? But he doesn't trust me as a guy who would necessarily do due diligence,
for sure,
right? Yeah. And I think even if other people would advise him to. I think he's the type of guy, because of the money he's had and the power he's had in his life, he doesn't have to listen to a lot of people. And so I think, last time we talked about how the FBI was in Vereniging looking for fucking pedophiles. You're telling me they couldn't see that there's no fucking genocide of white people in South Africa? Of course they did. If he had requested a report, I'm pretty sure like any intelligence agency would have.
Why were they looking for pedophiles here? Were they looking for American pedophiles?
My man, I have no idea. I have not gone into depth with that story. But like, there's some real stuff.
Why the fuck were they looking at pedophiles if anything?
They
should have gone to Nigel, dude.
What did Nigel do to you?
I don't know. I just Nigel's the worst one in Gauteng for sure.
No, it can't be. It can't be.
Which one?
But Bomma Brakpan.
But the problem, I think Brakpan gets a lot of flack.
You know what? I grew up in Brakpan.
Yeah.
I saw Brakpan almost every day of my life. You see, and so I realized that it's always had a reputation, but now it's looking a bit shabby. It's like, and now it sort of deserves
the reputation,
the things that we've heard about it. And so I think that's that. On my side about Brakpan. I forgot my point.
Sorry, we were FBI, Elon Musk and Trump.
Yes, very large developments on that side. They were in Vereniging. They must have had a report, but probably Trump didn't listen. I think at the time when he asked his golf buddies to come there and chat about the entire thing, I think he realized he may have been taken for a ride.
Yeah, it's sad because I think we were saying earlier that Trump didn't have to listen to a lot of people. He had the purchasing power to kind of only have a few advisors, right? Because he's always just been the guy that signs the paper. He's always been the guy that makes the decision, but he makes it informed in a way. And then he trusted Elon Musk to inform him. Which is, I'm thinking now, like the same thing that Ernest Roots and Elon Musk did. It's the same thing, but a flip side of it, right? Like,
Yeah.
they both want the same thing. This racist agenda to be pushed.
Yes,
because it's trying to point out that something racist is happening when that's not. There's so much more nuance to it.
I do think that AfriForum themselves were being used by Elon
For sure.
to try and push his agenda.
Yeah.
Just for him to
But
sell
it
more
did
products.
benefit them as well, right? Because I mean, these guys went on to go be on the Jordan Peterson podcast.
Yeah, the only thing is they just spread the lie wider, and the thing is just that, like, no matter how wide they spread it, will never become truth.
For sure.
Instead, the only way that it can become truth is after many years, and like some form of redress has happened. Some people have lost some things, or not lost, but some people have given up some things, and maybe they can say, like a really bad prophet, like, I told you so. But like, this was always the plan, bro. Like, we're always going to, like, address redress. You see? And so it's like, that's the thing. You can't really, like, mention it's gonna. It's the logical conclusion.
For sure.
Yeah, and so it's like, we'll go through discrimination, and we'll discriminate, and we'll learn from that. What did we say earlier again? I said that I made a joke about how discrimination is not bad.
Yeah.
It's only bad if it's unfair.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I don't mean that, by the way. I think it's a ridiculous concept.
I think it's very funny.
Yes, and it's funny.
Yeah.
But we can work with it. Like, it appears to be true, but you'll realize when it's working against you that it's not.
But then it's not fair.
No.
But
then it's not fair. But like, you see why it's not.
Yeah.
This thing is.
But
it's
discrimination in general is bad.
It's weird, unless it's discretion.
Unless it's discretion.
Yeah, you can frame your discrimination as a certain level of discretion, like, what's that sign that they put above buildings to say that certain people are allowed in here?
Oh,
but we can decide.
I thought you were talking about the sign was like, don't hit your head here. Because I see that sign a lot. That sign stares me in the eyes all the time.
Yes, it's because you're supposed to see it.
Yeah.
It's because it's for people like us. I've never seen well, I have seen those signs, but I'd never worry about them.
I've never.
Have you ever hit your head though?
Dude, fucking daily. Every day I hit my head.
Like on a door?
On a door frame, on a pole, on a tree, on the way out of my car, on the way into my car. I'm also very clumsy, so it doesn't.
Yeah, no, I think this is a good place to end this podcast, because now I think people are gonna start judging and say, why am I doing a podcast with a guy who bumps his head all the time?
Hey. I've got a thick skull now.
At least you don't have bad short-term memory.
I've got a thick skull but an open mind.
I would say best advice I ever heard in my life was if you have an open mind, to keep it closed. That's
there's a Tim Minchin line that I love. He's a musical comic.
Tim Minchin.
Australian. Minchin. Okay. I think it was him, and he
should have just called himself Munchkin.
Tim Munchkin.
Could have landed with across markets.
He's a very serious concept.
Maybe I shouldn't be dissing a comedian. That's not the smartest thing to do.
Not necessarily. I don't think he's gonna
come for me.
No, I don't think he does comedy that much anymore.
Oh, okay.
He's doing like plays and things now. But anyway, he's got a line where he says, if you open your mind too much, your brain will fall out.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Let's teach that to the kids.
For sure. Be open-minded, but also, like, if you open your mind too much, your brain might fall out.
Oof. Yeah.
Bars.
Cheers. Check us out where we're performing, usually in bars.
For sure. Mainly in bars.
Ah, look at me looking at the screen.
We mainly perform in bars. I'm out Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Sunday.
Yeah, there's that.
Not always performing.
Yeah, I'm also not always performing, but like, you can check out my really cool band called The Muffins. We've got a few shows every now and again here and there. So check us out online. Cool. So I'm going to Grahamstown, hopefully see some people there.
For sure.
It would be nice to go with you guys. But
next year.
Accommodation is expensive.
Understand. Yeah.
And I already have a crew. gang.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, we're gonna have a great time at the National Arts Festival in what is now called Makanda, and I'll definitely be going up the monuments
For sure.
to go and what's the word? Meditate on what white people did to South Africans when they came here during the frontier wars.
That's a wrap.